It's the non-political Security Weekly News, and it is Friday, the 6th of February, 2026, episode 553, which does add up to 13. Interesting. 13 adds up to 4. I think all that together spells Adolf Hitler. I don't know, something like that. But anyway, today we've got the smell of victory, Bongo Fury, Sysmon, Antiques, Looker, Openclaw, Kimwolf, Josh Marpet, and more on this episode of the Security Weekly News.
This is a Security Weekly production for security professionals by security professionals. Please visit securityweekly.com/subscribe to subscribe to all the shows on our network.
We interrupt our program to bring you this.
It's the show that keeps you up to date on the latest security news twice a week. Your trusted source for accurate security information and expert analysis. It's time for the Security Weekly News. Ever feel like your network infrastructure is stuck in the past? Meet Meter, the company reimagining what it means to get and stay online. Meter delivers full-stack networking, wired, wireless, and cellular, all in one seamless, scalable, and secure solution. From hardware design and firmware to software, deployment, and support, Meter streamlines every part of your network while giving you all the control and transparency you need. Whether you're managing a branch office, retail stores, or a massive data center, Meter gives you performance, reliability, and the visibility you need to stay in control. Thanks to Meter for sponsoring. Go to securityweekly.com/meter to book a demo now. That's securityweekly.com/meter, METER. Zero trust is clearly the future as threats get faster, quieter, and harder to detect. But implementing it shouldn't disrupt the business. ThreatLocker enforces default, deny, and execution in a way that remains enterprise-ready, scalable, and operationally clean. Unknown software is stopped cold. Trusted apps stay contained, and drift is locked down across the environment. It's zero trust that works in real enterprises and prepares you for the threats ahead. See why CISOs are adopting it at securityweekly.com/threatlocker. All right, I'm Doug White, and it's the Security Weekly News. Hit that like, subscribe, and leave a comment button, or these cats are going to starve. I mean, they haven't eaten in 3 days. Well, except for that food this morning and second breakfast, 11sies, luncheon, afternoon tea, dinner, supper, possibly a Matins buffet. Poor kitties. So just do it. While most security conferences talk about threats, Zero Trust World lets you attack them. From March 4th to 6th, 2026 in Orlando, Florida, this hands-on cybersecurity event features live hacking labs where you'll break real environments, think like an adversary, and learn how attacks really work. You'll also get expert sessions, real-world case studies, CPE credits, and networking with top practitioners, and also the Security Weekly team will be there too. So don't miss it. Register today at securityweekly.com/ZTangoWhiskey, ZTW. And I will be at RSAC along with others, including Josh. Hope you'll be there too. Security Weekly listeners save $100 on their RSAC 2026 All Access Pass. RSAC 2026 conference will take place March 23rd to March 26th in San Francisco. So to register using our discount code, please visit securityweekly.com/RSAC26 and use the code 56U5SECWEEKLY. We hope to see you in San Francisco. All right. Microsoft started rolling out built-in Sysmon functionality and Sysmon, get over here. Make me breakfast. Sysmon, on the other hand, is rolling out in Windows 11 and Windows Server. Now, Sysmon has been around a long time, and it's a free tool that you can install, so you don't have to wait for them. You could have always installed it. It's a free tool that monitors and blocks suspicious internal activities, and it logs all that to the Windows event log. So this has always been something you could set up. Now, originally, most people installed this to monitor process creation and termination, but it can be configured to look for executable file creation, process tampering, clipboard changes, all kinds of stuff. I mean, like I say, you may have used it in the past, like I have, to debug system issues. So I was using it a long time ago to try to figure out why this little tune kept playing. It may have just been in my head, but, it was like every 33 seconds, it would go, and it would just about drive you crazy. It's great malware. Never could figure out where the malware was, but it was definitely there. But you can use it for threat hunting, all kinds of stuff. The downside for enterprise was that it was really hard to install it on each because you had to do it on every single machine manually. There was no like, at least I don't know how to install it, uniformly across the whole organization, or if you would even want to. But even with all this new functionality that it has, it is disabled by default, but it will be there now. So if you wanted to enable it, you could. So probably a group policy object could enable it if it's already installed on all the systems. Although maybe you could install it on all the systems with a group policy object all along. I'm not sure. I never tried to do that. But it is rolling out currently to beta and dev insider channels, so it will probably be in all the later builds for everyone. It's handy, it's free, and apparently it doesn't have AI embedded in it yet. You know that old Cisco 2621 router you've got over at the 2100 building? You know the one. It's managing that old drop that is still used as an alternate channel when the fiber goes out. You remember that thing? It's in that closet. You know that one? Cisco blue, covered in dust, spider webs, carcasses of 1,000 generations of spiders, pill bugs, millipedes. There's an old styrofoam cup that's like full of fur because somebody left a half full cup of coffee sitting on top of it like 2 years ago when that rat was eating on the cable. Yeah, old blue. iOS 12.4, still chugging along. Well, the U.S. Cybersecurity and Infrastructure Agency, or CISA, issued a new directive which requires federal agencies to identify and remove network edge devices that no longer receive security updates from manufacturers. Yeah, the dreaded EOS, end of service. So, or end of support, not end of service. End of support. So Cisco 12.4. I've probably got that running on an old switch over there in my basement. Well, it's not, maybe it might even be running 11.0. I don't know. CISA said, quote, the imminent threat of exploitation to agency information systems running end of support edge devices is substantial and constant, resulting in a significant threat to federal property. Now, CISA is aware of widespread exploitation campaigns by what they call advanced threat actors that are targeting end of support edge devices. So, yeah. So while these golden oldies keep chugging away at the bottom of the mine shaft, they aren't getting patched. They aren't getting supported. There are no security updates, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So you really need to ensure that you know where these things are in your network and what you're doing to mitigate the threat of them if you can't replace them or upgrade them. I mean, it's really easy for me to sit here and say, just replace them all with shiny new gadgets. But, sometimes when you go to the budget well is dry. Or they say maybe in the next budget cycle, which starts 3 years from now. So you just keep that old 3Com cranking in a locked room somewhere. 3Com. Do they still exist? No, they were bought by HP back in like 2009 or something like that, so they don't exist anymore. So if you still have 3Com gear, that's not only end of life, it's end of support, end of life, end of infinity, and beyond. You know, I don't know, my only friend, the end. But now if you have an old kinetoscope laying around, that might be fun. But federal agencies have been ordered by CISA to decommission EOS hardware and software on federal networks. And they have 12 months to decommission devices that were already at end of support before the directive. So they gave you more time to get rid of them. The directive also requires some pretty good stuff. They said you have to establish continuous discovery processes within 24 months. It's a federal, thing. It's like, oh yeah, this must be immediate within 24 months. So 2 years. But they need continuous discovery to identify edge devices and maintain inventories of equipment and software nearing end of support status. So they are coming for Lou and Dr. Liang, who are running Windows 98 down in their lab. Well, actually, they're not coming for Windows 98, but that old Cisco 2501? I mean, I think that thing literally ran on coal or something. I maybe had a pull starter. I don't know. It's like I got to fire up the router, and I mean, one time me and this student, we took a pull starter off of an old chainsaw that he had, and we bolted it on the side of like a ProLiant server. And then we got all carried away and we super glued some propane, those little propane cylinders on the top of the thing. and we would leave it sitting out in the lab, and this person on a tour was like, "Wow, look at that." It was just priceless. I told him it was a Russian-made server from the Cold War, and he was like, "I thought I recognized that." And I don't know if he was kidding or not. I think he was, thought it was real. Google patched 2 vulnerabilities in Looker. Looker is Google's business intelligence and data analytics platform that could have allowed remote code execution and exfiltration of data from an internal database. Tenable, our friends, found the flaws, which they're calling Lookout, and revealed the proof of concept in a blog post on Wednesday. This got a bunch of Russian attack groups all sweaty. The exploits did require developer permission, though, so not quite just like a, no auth, no nothing. But one of the flaws was the ability to exfiltrate an internal MySQL database called looker_ilooker, which had a lot of sensitive stuff in it, apparently. And the other one allowed the remote code to be executed. I think it's a good story, even if you don't have Looker, because to me, these stories, even when I don't actually have something, make me think about what I do have. So what do you have on your site? Are you sure you don't have Looker? I mean, are you sure that Anya didn't install that on that old server that was running down there in that closet that's just sitting there waiting with lights blinking? Kind of a Stephen King tech horror story. A haunted PDP-11 that rises from the grave, bolts a 1968 Camaro chassis underneath, and cruises the highways, taking out Tesla with a skeletal Grace Hopper behind the wheel, cackling madly about RPG and magnetic core memory bugs. So, do you have that kind of inventory? I mean, when Anya installed Looker on this server for Mark Brigham back in 2012, and then Mark quit to go work for his dad in Montana, and that server got repurposed, but it still has Looker installed, and it's currently called the Backup Formula Storage Controller, and it's still running over in accounting. Would you see that? I mean, if somebody took that server, put it over in accounting, and was running now, I don't know, something else on it, would you know that it had Looker on it? I mean, this is one of those things where we really need to shine some light on the subject. I saw so many companies that had no clue what they had, where it was, who could access it, what it was capable of, and we just had to go looking, like physically, in closets and tunnels and attics and sub basements and sewer tunnels. And is that a System 36 behind all those boxes? And it's still on, and it's looking right at us. Little red light. Hello, Dave. I've been waiting. I mean, we literally found a place where this former employee, noticed the word former employee, took an AS400 home and was running it from their basement with like 10 million customer records on it. The company was like, "Oh, we had no idea. We just thought that it was on site somewhere and being supported by a guy named Ted who died in 1987, but maybe his spirit was down there running it." Ted's spirit could still be heard running the card reader on dark, foggy nights. Well, what was that? Is that card reader over there in the corner on? So what the hell? An old COBOL program comes to life. Openclaw, the road to Terminators. I was like, do you want Terminators? Openclaw is how you get Terminators. Well, Openclaw, which used to be called Moltbot and also Claudebot, is an open source AI agent that has become very increasingly popular because it allows you to create your own personal or professional assistants yourself. And you can connect them down to some databases, and and then all the bots talk to each other and all kinds of crazy stuff. Well, Openclaw skills are tools which you can install in your agents to allow them to have more capabilities or integration. Just another extension. Koi Security found malicious skills in their Openclaw assistant, Alex. So subsequently, Alex and Oren Yomtov at Koi audited the entire 2,857 skills on ClawHub and found that 341 of them were malicious, and 335 of those malicious skills were all tied to the same campaign, which they're calling Claw Havoc. Claw Havoc. I like it. I think my latest campaign is going to be called Bongo Fury, which that one causes agentic AI to say things at random, like, "Hey, Phil, are you itchy? I'm itchy, but don't scratch." Or I don't know, random things generated by Markovify based on Naked Lunch. I actually had this generated by Markovify with Naked Lunch. "Nothing is illegal if it arrives pre-filed and speaks calmly." That sounds like Markovify to me. That's a real Markovify. I love it. I like just saying it, Markovify. Sometimes I just say it to myself. It's soothing. Well, anyway, the main Claw Havoc is Claw Havoc a play on Cry Havoc and let slip the Cry Havoc and let slip the dogs of war, that this foul deed shall smell above the earth with carrion men groaning for burial. Sorry, I couldn't resist. I mean, it's like Julius Caesar. Come on. I think we had to memorize that in freshman English. Anywho, Claw Havoc's main campaign had instructions for Windows users to download a password-protected zip file hosted on GitHub. Like, yeah, just anytime you see that instruction, go, don't do it. But, and then they wanted you to run the download this zip file and run the executables. But how many times have you installed something that had those kind of instructions? I mean, we all have. But this one, it was a keylogger. Other ones had crypto tools. There were 57 that posed as YouTube utilities, and you know, on and on. So to fight this, Koi published a skill called Claudex, which scans skills prior to installation of said skills to check the skills against Koi's known malicious skills database, which is always kind of scary to me. They're like, download our tool to, you know, download our skill tool to stop bad skills, which worries me. But they actually did make a website where you could just put in the URL for any ClawHub item, and it will check it against their database. So you don't actually have to install another skill. It will save you from skills that are not in the database, though. But I mean, it is a start if you want to build your own version of HAL 9000 or Huey, Dewey, and Louie. Remember Huey, Dewey, and Louie from Silent Running? Oh, I love that movie. That is a cool movie with Bruce Dern. It's from like the 70s. It's they got these three little robots, and yeah, it's like dark. It is a dark movie, let me tell you. They used to show it on the Late Show. Anyway, I saw this and it made me worry a bit. You know, I've used OneDrive, and I really like the concept because it really saved the day once when my laptop was destroyed by my kid chasing a cat around the room, and they all got tangled up in the cord, and my laptop went off the table, and the drive made that squealing sound. Have you ever heard a spinner drive go? Yeah, that's a bad sound. It means the drive heads are dragging on the platters. So yeah, it's pretty much gone. But hey, a quick trip to Best Buy, a $300 laptop, OneDrive, back in business in 2 hours. It was pretty nice. But apparently they are now turning Copilot loose into OneDrive. And they're going to allow users to select up to 20 files to create an agent file so you can query all the documents simultaneously via Copilot. Now, I don't really understand why I would want to do this, but then I started thinking about it. I read some stuff about it. It basically lets the agent get a lot more information to answer fairly complex questions about collections of data. So an example I immediately thought of was I share 20 student files to the agent and then ask the agent, which of these essays about Grace Hopper is the best? And I guess that would work with this agentic AI. I don't know. But Microsoft didn't have a lot of info about the privacy implications here. So it said you could share these agents with other people. So if you opted to allow Copilot's agents to access all these files and you share that agent, and you would of course have to share the source files with others, you know, I don't know. What does that mean? I mean, for me, if I did that with the student files, it would be a FERPA violation. And I mean, Microsoft's not allowing that to happen by default. I would have to do it. And there was nothing here that implied Copilot was leaking anything or anything like that. But it was just not clear exactly what the agents are doing behind the scenes and how they are sharing, being controlled about this. And what if, you know, the agents start talking to each other and saying, well, hey, man, have you seen this crap? I think it's just a general concern as we adopt these things and we don't truly understand the data flows. So, you know, an accountant at the bank puts 20 files into the agent that are all balance sheets of different companies to query based on the prices they paid for who's it's. And the agent, you know, could cross evaluate it across all these different things. You know, which customer has the best credit based on their balance sheet. And, you know, and the secret app Doug wrote to calculate alternative credit scores. I called it the Weasel Index. Really, it was what I called it. It was for a financial house, and I just called it the Weasel Index, and they called it WI. And that just amused me forever because it was like 20 years from now, there's gonna be traders sitting there going, "Have you got your WI scores yet?" And somebody finally goes, "What does WI stand for anyway?" I don't know. It's just called WI. I mean, but is all this safe? What if I share it with somebody else, and they share it with somebody else, and they share it with somebody else, and they all share the files, and all of a sudden, I don't know. I mean, I just think there's a lot of issues coming up that we're gonna deal with, that just like the early days when people were concerned that a DB2 database could be hacked, so we just keep all the paper records in the vault and we don't use it. But it is scary. I mean, not to be a Luddite. Microsoft said that if someone opens the agent but doesn't have access to the source files, they won't be able to get any answers. But I don't know. All those AIs are clamoring to get their tentacles on my hard drive directories to help me. I mean, it's constantly like, if I had access to your drive, I could fix this right away. Yeah. I'm going to call this problem the burnt weenie sandwich. Miss you, Frank. All right. Burnt Weenie Sandwich is a Frank Zappa album, if you don't know. It's just something I say to myself sometimes for amusement purposes. Well, the Winter Olympics starts this week, and I don't know anything about sports, I got to tell you, except skiing, I know a little bit about. So good luck on Stelvio to all the athletes. But speaking of world records, a distributed denial of service botnet called AI Saru or Kimwolf, or both, I'm not sure. It was written with a slash between it, but I'll just call it Kimwolf. It's been attributed to a record-setting distributed denial of service attack that peaked at, listen to this, 31.4 terabits per second for 35 seconds. 31.4 terabits. Wow. Cloudflare detected this and mitigated it. However, I don't know. I think they just shut all the domains down. But they did say that it represents a growing number of hyper-volumetric HTTP distributed denial of service attacks. Just say that fast 3 times. And they said all these were fired off using a botnet in the fourth quarter of 2025. This record-breaking one was documented by Cloudflare in November of last year. Now, another AI Saru Kimwolf attack started on 19 December, and this one's called the Night Before Christmas, and that one hit 3 billion packets per second, 4 terabits per second, 54 requests per second, and approached 24 terabits per second at its peak. I mean, it's not quite the same as spamming somebody's house, on their home phone with a dial-up modem at 300 baud. I mean, think about this. So just for reference, 300 baud, that's 300 bits per second. A full-length movie would take months to download. At 31.4 terabits per second, every movie ever made could be downloaded before I say this next word. That's how much that is. At 300 baud, you send about 1 character per second, which meant I was out typing it, and I would have to buffer my typing, and I kept having to allocate more space to my buffers so that my typing wouldn't outpace the 300 baud. And, or you just stop every sentence and, smoke a cigarette and let it catch up. But at 31.4 terabits per second, you could send the entire Library of Congress thousands of times per second. So, yeah, wow. To shut this thing down, Google suspended access to a bunch of accounts and domains that were misusing infrastructure. A lot of this was Android devices. There was about 2 million Android devices which were part of this botnet. Most of those were non-branded Android TVs. So basically, they're unsecured. They're sold to end users. People put them in their homes, connect them to the interwebs, and then they become part of a botnet. I don't know. Maybe I was thinking about this. I was like, maybe these are atomic weapons tests of the modern age. That nation states are building their arsenals for some future conflict, and they want to test this to see, would these distributed denial of services actually work to shut down, I don't know, the East Coast or something right before they launch a whole bunch of other attacks. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I remember people attacking my edge routers with a bash script. So you can imagine, the difference between that and now. Crazy. This story was really interesting to me. When my father died, we inherited his tens of thousands of photos and 8mm movies and 16mm movies from long, long ago. And I had this kind of epiphany because when I started looking at some of them, a lot of the things I remembered from being a kid were actually those pictures and films. Like, I remember playing with this dog that we had, and I was looking at these movies, and there was an 8mm movie of me playing with the dog, and it was exactly what I remembered. And I'm like, maybe I don't remember anything at all. So this article was talking about how our phone photos are very likely going to alter our memories out in the future somewhere, because we may not actually notice the alterations that are being made in the photos that we were actually taking what we saw in real life. So the example they had was that you use a Samsung phone to take a blurry picture of the moon, and the phone with AI cleans it up, adds all the details and so forth. So your picture of the moon is like looking through Lou's big telescope. He had this huge telescope that was designed to be mounted on the back of a pickup truck. And you could see that golf ball where Alan Shepard shanked one into the biggest sand bunker of all time. You couldn't really, but you get what I mean. We tried to see the moon lander, but we never could. We thought we could see it once, but then we'd realized we'd probably just had a few too many drinks. But I mean, what about filters? Was Great Aunt Ida really that hot, or did she look more like Jackie Gleason? Like, I remember Great Aunt Ida as being hot, but actually maybe not. My mother's like, Great Aunt Ida? No, she looked like Jackie Gleason in drag. I mean, look how thin I was in these old photos. I remember myself as being pretty buff. No, I don't know, really. Anyway, the story's about what they called computational photography and how it differs from what you've been seeing with your eyes, and how that affects our memories of things, because we go back and look at a picture and we remember the picture more than we remember what we actually saw. So iPhones use Deep Fusion, which is it's not on by default apparently, but it's an AI that's trained on millions of images, and it reduces noise. It can identify things that are in the picture and enhance them based on what it knows, or process them. So your picture is really, really good. That blurry little white spot actually turns into a really elaborate seagull that seems to be threatening you. But I mean, even if the original's not so great, the picture may be pretty good. So this, of course, can introduce all kinds of weirdness as well. What is that strange shadow in that 8mm movie my dad made of us sledding in 1968? Is it Cthulhu? Was it a telephone pole? I'm not sure what that is, but I'm scared of it. So I don't know. So this is, maybe implies that there's an AI standard of images coming, and that's going to be the default, and all the pics you take are going to be adjusted for color and balance, and that blurry face or somebody blinking their eyes, they suddenly look like Marilyn Monroe. I don't know. Maybe it's Great Aunt Ida. Maybe it's Debbie Harry. Maybe it's Uncle Sid wearing Great Aunt Ida's clothes. I only your therapist will know for sure. Hard to say. Not to mention, as we embed AI in our eyeglasses, our hearing aids, and everything else, are they altering the world around us? Probably. Is it a bad thing? I don't know. I mean, I don't want to remember those glamour photos of Aunt Teresa she had made in 1971, but they're there. But it is definitely a new thing that may well alter our memories going forward. Now, speaking of altered memory, many alterations have been made in my memory by Josh Marpet. Hi, Josh.
Hey, Doug. I haven't altered your memory that much.
Really? How would I know?
We don't talk about these things. I do want to elaborate on a story that you brought up, and that was the Openclaw story. So just to be clear, Openclaw is the new version of Openclaw and Moltbot that we may have heard of. Moltbot being the social media network for AI agents, which is terrifying in and of itself. But the real problem here, not just the malwared skills that you talked about, and there's some bad ones in there, but the fact that it is leaking into production networks. You really need to understand that Openclaw asks you for more permissions actively. And so it's asking you, hey, do you want me to help you with your email? Just let me into your email and let me read all your emails, including your corporate email. Oh, hey, do you want me to look through your files, just like the OneDrive story you mentioned, and look for the things that would help you in your daily work? Just let me into your files, including your corporate files. This is one of the places that AI is becoming incredibly dangerous, because not only is it having its own identity, Openclaw has an ID, an identity, authentication, authorization, etc., but it carries your ID along with it, because you're allowing it to do these things for you, or delegated to, or as you. And as such, it carries your identity with it to places that you may not have predicted. And when you have a BYOD phone or a laptop that you have some access permissions on to install things or run things on, because hey, I'm just running it on a cloud-based system. Oh, well, that cloud-based system you've got Openclaw running on is, well, it's connected to my laptop. It's a browser-based thing. Oh, well, because you can run Moltbot in the Cloudflare Moltbot creche or whatever they call it. It's the Moltbot nursery. Okay. And so it's absolutely terrifying how many production networks, corporate networks, they're finding Openclaw agents on. This is absolutely essential. What this means is that you, as an enterprise, need to make sure that your users, if they're using it in their personal life, that's not my business. You know what I mean? But if they're using it on a corporate device or in a corporate network or in a corporate fashion, I don't know how many other ways I can say that, they have to stop. You need something that is a default deny product. Now, I mean, you know, shameless plug here, but ThreatLocker is one of our sponsors here, and they have a default deny product. I happen to like it a lot. I believe, although I have not checked with Rob Allen, I need to check with him, that kind of, I know Bitdefender has Openclaw stoppage. I believe that ThreatLocker has that as well. But you have to have a default deny. If it's something that you're not supposed to be doing, I don't let it happen. That's the kind of thing we have to do these days. You know, remember the days when you could have Facebook on your corporate laptop and your webmail and everything else? Nope, not anymore. It's what you need to do your job and nothing more. And if this sounds like we're going back to the 1970s and the 1980s, yeah, that sounds about right. Okay. I mean, hell, I just had a call this morning about this where they were like, well, what are you telling people to do? And I'm like, oh, well, you know, for ransomware defense, I'm pushing tape drives again. It's like it's 30 years ago. And I'm pushing, you know, default deny and least privilege and all the stuff that IBM came up with in the 60s. And Doug helped them with in the 1960s and the 1860s. Because as we know, Doug is as old as, you know, when rocks were young and dirt was soft. Okay, or when dirt was young and rocks were soft. And it's this is bad. We are allowing AI agents not just into our work, but into our personal life and into our corporate life. And they are not controlled by us. They are easily malwared by us, and they act as us and carry our identities along with them. That's terrifying. Interesting, but terrifying. Doug, back to you, sir.
Thank you, Josh. Yeah, it's very scary to me too. I think we're in that new, you know, there was that early age of where people could take pictures with their phones. And we got so many calls about people that had said, like, let's just say hypothetically that somebody sent a nude photo to somebody else. Like, they can't forward that to everybody else and put it up on websites, right? Like,
I remember those days.
yeah, I mean, it was like people were just coming to terms with this. And now I think we're going to start getting calls from people going, if I turned my whole hard drive over to Claude and Claude uploaded all my files and shared them with another person, that's not possible, right? Like, oh my God. Or worse, like, I built my own agent and my own agent is taking over my, you know, like, yeah, because I'm scared.
Because you let it.
Yeah, but people don't know, and I mean, you know, and you trade convenience for security all the time. You don't think about it. You just say, "Hey, I'm going to do it." It says, "Hey, would you like me to fix this for you?" And you go, "Yeah, hell yeah, I would." And you click OK. And next thing you know, Claude's like, "Now that I have all your files, I notice that you're quite interested in, you know, camouflage lingerie." This was a term my wife and I were using to test Alicia. We won't say that word. We agreed that we would say camouflage lingerie a lot in front of Alicia when we don't have one anymore, and to see how many ads we would get for like camouflage, paramilitary, sex toys, I don't know, whatever that it was crazy, and it was just like all of a sudden it was like Facebook and everything was popping up ads for camo. I was like, I didn't even know they made such things, but apparently, yeah. So it's what the you know all the sexiest terrorists are wearing these days. Anyway, all right. And I could not resist this last story. It's a kind of tech story. I took my daughter to the museum once in Boston when she was little, and they had this diorama of animals, which she liked very much. And they had this thing where you could push a button and smell the animal. Like you stick your face down in it, push this button, and supposedly you're going to smell like, what a musk ox smells like, or, a rabid prehistoric badger or something. But so I tried it. I was like, my daughter's like, do it. And I was like, I guess I should do this before she does it because I don't even know what this is going to do. I got hit with something that smelled like the inside of an old shoebox with a rotting pepperoni in one corner. And it also had sort of a like yogurt gone bad smell. I could not get this out of my nasal passages all evening. I was driving home from Boston and I would just keep getting a whiff of it. It was really, really bad. Like back of that old van that had a mattress in it bad that had been sitting out in the rain. Yeah. I mean, I think this sensory stuff is coming too. Probably AI generated for your enjoyment, right? So, I mean, you already see haptics for games, right? I mean, they make it feel like you're bouncing around or you're getting shot or whatever. Why not smell-o-vision? I mean, what would Grand Theft Auto smell like? Rotting hotel mattresses, BO, and just a hint of strawberry lip gloss? That's what my teenage years smell like. But the story, though, is about the scent of eternity. Just a cool phrase. Basically, this person studies the compounds used to mummify the organs of an ancient Egyptian. I mean, the whole process is pretty messed up if you look at mummification. Like, who invented this? The idea that you need this metal hook, the sacred metal hook, and you pull their brains out through their nose and take all their body parts out and put them in jars and then stuff their body with all kinds of herbs and spices. I'm getting hungry just thinking about it. I mean, the whole thing's pretty weird. I mean, Herodotus wrote about this in this book called The Ritual of Embalming in Egypt. It's really interesting, though. And the scientist is trying to figure out what something would have smelled like and create that smell. So the next time you're playing Zork 2026, maybe the dungeon will have an aroma. Wet orc standing in front of a pile of dead hobbits.c. I mean, can you imagine? I mean, you can't fight the orcs because you're puking from the smell. And you get a Zork puke bucket that came with the game just for added realism. So you can be like, I'm going to get, oh God. I mean, it would be like reality, right? Don't just fight your enemies, smell them. Anyway, that's the news. Thanks to all of you for watching. Thank you, Josh. And I'll see you next time on the Security Weekly News.